This is a bottle of perfume. $2. That's what one former department store CEO says the actual juice inside it is worth in a $100 bottle. And I'm going to show you exactly where the other $98 goes and who's really pocketing it. Here's the fast version. A former department store CEO broke down a $100 3.5-ounce celebrity prestige perfume in a widely reported 2012 piece, speaking anonymously because he called the numbers a closely guarded trade secret. The juice, meaning the fragrance concentrate, alcohol, and water combined, ran about $2. $6 covered the bottle. Packaging, the box, the testers, the counter displays added another $4. Marketing, television spots, magazine scent strips, billboards ate up $8 on its own. He compared the actual liquid's value to a large cup of regular coffee. Yep, not even a cappuccino. And likened the discovery to Toto pulling back the curtain in The Wizard of Oz. But here's the part almost nobody catches when they hear that breakdown. The company whose name sits on that bottle almost certainly didn't make what's inside it. A small handful of companies most people have never heard of actually create the scent formulas behind a huge share of the entire perfume industry, competing brands included, and I'm about to show you exactly who they are and how that single fact changes everything about where this money ends up. My take on that opening number is this. I do believe the most valuable ingredient in that bottle isn't the liquid at all. It's the anonymity surrounding whoever actually made it. A company like Givaudan or IFF formulated that scent, not the designer whose name gets printed on the label. And that quiet fact is exactly what makes the entire markup possible. Understanding those companies means understanding the whole industry, so let's start there. Perfume runs on 3 layers. Fragrance houses sit at the bottom, the ones actually formulating and manufacturing the scent compounds themselves. Givaudan, headquartered in Switzerland, holds the global #1 spot, backed by more than 250 years of history. Its most recent fiscal year brought in group sales of 7.5 billion Swiss francs, with the fragrance and beauty segment alone pulling in 3.83 billion francs, and fine fragrance specifically grew more than 18% that year. IFF, based in the United States, reported $10.89 billion in revenue. DSM Firmenich, a Swiss-Dutch company born from a 2023 merger, posted 9.03 billion euros, with perfumery and beauty standing as its largest segment. Symrise, out of Germany, reported 4.93 billion euros. Robertet, Takasago, and Monet round out the rest of the field behind these 4. Sitting above those fragrance houses are the consumer-facing names you'd actually recognize walking through a department store. LVMH, which owns Dior, Guerlain, and Givenchy, Chanel, Coty, Estée Lauder, Puig, L'Oréal Luxe, Shiseido, and Interparfums. Here's the thing though, in a huge number of cases, these companies never formulated the scent themselves. They went straight to one of those 4 fragrance houses and had it made for them, which leads directly into the 3rd layer, licensing. And this is where it gets interesting. A lot of the fashion houses whose names show up on perfume bottles don't make perfume at all. Instead, they license their name to one of these fragrance or beauty companies for a royalty, and the licensee handles everything from there: the formulation, the production, the marketing, the distribution. My honest opinion on those 4 fragrance houses is that they're essentially the Nvidia of smell, a picks and shovels business, quietly more durable than almost any brand they supply. They sell into every side of every rivalry in this industry simultaneously. Dior sells more, they win. Chanel sells more, they win. A niche brand suddenly takes off, there's a solid chance one of these 4 companies sits behind that scent too. Now go back to that $100 bottle and look closer at where the rest of the money actually lands, because the specific numbers matter here. Trade sources consistently cite the juice running somewhere between 1 and 10% of retail price, with roughly 3% showing up as the most commonly repeated estimate. That works out to somewhere around $1.20 to $1.50 of actual liquid on a $150 bottle. Bottle design carries its own hefty price tag too. A custom glass mold alone can run anywhere from $5,000 to $30,000 to develop before a single unit even gets filled. Marketing, though, is frequently the single biggest line item of all. Industry estimates put it at 30 to 50% of shelf price on a heavily advertised prestige launch. Stack a department store markup on top, cited around 45 to 60%, and that's how a $2 liquid quietly becomes a $100 retail product. The general industry rule lands retail price somewhere between 4 and 8 times the total cost of production. Amouage's chief creative officer, Renaud Salmon, laid it out plainly. The cost is the sum of the following: cost of the fragrance ingredients, the bottle and its components, packaging, employees, logistics, distribution, advertising, marketing, and more. Perfume critic Luca Turan put the consumer side of that math more bluntly, warning a shopper can drop $250 and come out with a sad little thing that should never cost more than $25. Worth adding some nuance here though, because the $2 figure doesn't tell the whole story fairly. Fewer than roughly 500 to 600 working perfumers exist across the entire planet, famously fewer people than have actually been to space, and only about 50 count as famous master noses, most trained in Grasse or Versailles over a minimum of roughly 10 years. DSM Firmenich master perfumer Honorine Blanc has admitted, "Sometimes I need 20,000 trials just to land on one finished formula. So while that tiny liquid cost rule of thumb holds true for mass and designer fragrance, niche and artisan houses reportedly pour a far larger share of production cost, cited at 40 to 60%, straight into the actual formula. My opinion is that the $2 number sells the industry a little short, because what you're really paying for, at least at the higher end, is 20,000 trials, a decade of a nose's training, and centuries of accumulated knowledge concentrated in one small corner of France. That corner is Grasse, and its origin story is genuinely bizarre. Grasse started out as a leather tanning town, and tanning reeks. Local glove makers began scenting their leather gloves just to mask the smell, a trend reportedly endorsed by Catherine de' Medici herself. And that one habit ended up launching the entire modern perfume industry from that single town. Grasse still produces more than 2/3 of France's natural aromas today, and UNESCO added its perfume-making knowledge to its intangible cultural heritage list back in 2018. If this kind of breakdown is landing for you, now's a good moment to hit like and subscribe. It genuinely helps a channel like this reach more people, and there's plenty more of this coming. Keep going with me here, because the story of who actually profits from perfume gets stranger once you look at how designers get paid. Here's the thing about that licensing model mentioned earlier. It might be one of the best deals in all of fashion. Standard fragrance licensing royalties run 3 to 8% of net sales per industry sources, stacked on top of minimum guarantees and upfront advances. Licensing lawyer Henry Welt described the arrangement this way. In the fragrance business, you have enormous promotional expenses, but there can be profit margins of 75 to 80%. My take on that is simple. Designers licensing their name for a royalty like that lands among the highest margin trades in all of fashion, near zero risk, near zero capital, pure brand rent collected from the sidelines. That licensing engine hit its most extreme form with celebrity fragrances. 1991, that's when the modern celebrity fragrance business truly ignited. The year Elizabeth Taylor's White Diamonds launched behind a $20 million campaign. By 2018, cumulative sales had climbed past $1.5 billion. Revlon reported 4 bottles selling every minute at its peak, one every 15 seconds, worldwide, and Taylor mandated that 25% of her royalties flow permanently to her AIDS foundation. That single fragrance proved a famous name could out-earn an entire career, and the industry noticed immediately. 85-star perfume or cologne launches hit shelves in 2012 alone, compared with just 10 a decade earlier, according to The Hollywood Reporter, and 31 of the top 100 best-selling fragrances that year carried a celebrity's name. At the absolute peak of that boom, a top celebrity could command $3 to $5 million up front, plus a 6 or 7% royalty on sales. And Bain estimated the celebrity segment alone captured roughly 7% of a $36 billion annual market. While all of that played out at the mass market end, something completely different started building at the top: the rise of niche and artisan perfume. The major conglomerates began snapping up small, independent houses starting around 2014. Estée Lauder picked up Le Labo and Frédéric Malle that same year. LVMH took a majority stake in Maison Francis Kurkdjian in March of 2017. Puig acquired a majority of Byredo in 2022, reportedly for around €1 billion. The same year, L'Oreal grabbed Aesop. Niche now stands as the fastest growing corner of the entire industry, and while estimates diverge on exactly how fast, somewhere between roughly 9% and more than 11% annual growth, every source agrees on the direction. Estée Lauder's Le Labo alone posted double-digit growth every single quarter of its most recent fiscal year. One scent captures this entire shift perfectly: Baccarat Rouge, 5 for $40. Francis Kurkdjian created it in 2014 as a $3,000 limited edition piece, marking Baccarat Crystal's 250th anniversary. It went on to become a global bestseller, propelled largely by TikTok, and along the way, it also became the single most duped fragrance on the planet, which brings us straight into the newest chapter of this whole story. Because once people started learning exactly how cheap the actual liquid is, an entire industry sprang up around that discovery. The global perfume dupe market hit roughly $2.7 billion in 2024, and it's projected to keep growing at around 15 to 16% a year. Dossier, one of the best-known dupe brands, pulled in roughly $60 million in U.S. sales during 2025, up 120% year over year. Dossier's founder, Sergio Tache, put it bluntly: "One of the main reasons why the dupe perfume culture has grown so much is because the luxury brands increase their price by so much." Lisa Payne, head of beauty at the trend forecasting firm Stylus, framed it less as rebellion and more as awareness, describing it as a more savvy generation of shoppers who understand where the value of products lies and how much of the cost is associated with marketing budgets, with packaging, with name. My honest opinion is that dupes aren't really a threat to the prestige houses at all. They're the honest version of the exact same product. A dupe brand is simply a designer perfume that stopped pretending the packaging was ever the point. There's actually a technical reason dupes scaled this fast, and it traces back to something most people have never heard of: IFRA, the International Fragrance Association, founded in 1973 to set industry safety standards around which ingredients can go into a fragrance and at what concentration. Entire classic genres of perfume had to get rebuilt around synthetic substitutes once IFRA capped oak moss over allergen concerns, specifically two compounds called atronol and chloroatronol. Perfumers have accused IFRA of essentially killing off entire styles like Chypre, and some have gone as far as claiming the organization answers to the same big chemical companies that happen to benefit from those restrictions. One artisan perfumer summed up the frustration bluntly: "Bureaucracy destroys art." IFRA's counter-argument holds up too. Those oak moss compounds are genuine, well-documented skin sensitizers. My opinion is that there's a real irony buried inside that fight. The exact same synthetic heavy formulas regulators effectively forced onto the industry are precisely what makes a $29 dupe possible in the first place. IFRA may have accidentally democratized scent while trying to make it safer. So where does all of this actually stand right now? Fragrance has quietly become the one bright spot across the entire beauty industry. LVMH, Coty, and Estee Lauder all reported fragrance outperforming their struggling makeup and skincare lines in their most recent fiscal years. LVMH's perfumes and cosmetics division brought in 8.174 billion euros, roughly flat, yet profit from that division still grew 8% through cost discipline, with Dior Sauvage holding steady as the world's best-selling men's fragrance. Coty's prestige division, mostly fragrance, posted a 10% compound annual growth rate in net revenue from 2021 through 2025, even while its broader consumer beauty business struggled through the same stretch. Puig, meanwhile, went public in May of 2024 in the largest European IPO of that year, valuing the company at roughly 14 billion euros, and reported fragrance making up about 73% of its total revenue at a gross margin around 75%. Tariffs have started showing up in these numbers too, worth noting. IFF, Givaudan, DSM Firmenich, and Inter Parfums have all cited tariff-driven cost increases through 2025. Inter Parfums specifically reporting a $12.8 million tariff hit, about 0.9% of its sales. Consolidation at the top keeps rolling forward regardless. Givaudan agreed to acquire a majority stake in the Spanish fragrance company Eurofragance in 2026, while DSM Firmenich announced it's divesting its animal nutrition business specifically to double down further on beauty and fragrance. So, back to where this all started. This is a bottle of perfume, $2 of liquid, by one well-known industry breakdown, sitting inside a $100 bottle. But by now the gap makes a lot more sense, and it was never really about the liquid at all. A handful of anonymous companies formulate scent for nearly every brand on the shelf simultaneously. A licensing structure lets a designer's name earn royalties without the designer ever making a single bottle. A celebrity industry proved a famous face could out-earn a movie career entirely. A niche and artisan boom keeps getting bought up by the same handful of conglomerates. And now, a multi-billion-dollar dupe industry exists specifically because people finally found out exactly how cheap that liquid actually is. Subscribe if you want more breakdowns like this one. And if you're curious how milk brands actually make their billions, that video's right here. Go watch it.